Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of This Studio. My name is Adam, and today's video is a very special video because we have just reached 3,000 subscribers. Thank you so much again for all the support. It's time for a Q&A. Thank you so much to our studio VIPs, Carl Spence, Luke Urimura, and Christopher Allen. Thank you so much for your support, guys. And today's featured studio artist is Mimi Jin. Thank you so much for your support, Mimi. And if you'd like to become a studio artist or studio VIP, you can go to patreon.com/Adam10, or you can click over here. If you haven't watched any of my other Q&A episodes, which are all from milestones from our 1,000 subscriber Q&A to our 2,000 subscriber Q&A, this is the 3,000 subscriber Q&A where again I'll be answering some of your questions as well as some of your video suggestions which were maybe too short to fit into an entire studio episode, so they're going to be in this video instead. And as always, if you have any questions about anything, leave them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. So, first question is from Thomas Ng, and he says, is it possible to make a bent mallet straight again? So in my previous video I was talking about birch versus rattan, and I was saying that rattan flexes a lot over time and it warps, and that means over time they start to bend and you get what I like to call banana.
Banana bread? What the hell were you thinking?
Now with some rattan mallets you can bend them back to relative straightness with a little bit of force and a little bit of wiggling, but with a lot of cheaper rattan shafts and thinner rattan shafts, I think it's a lot harder to bend them back over prolonged use. If you're using them every day for everything, they are definitely going to get warped, and I think that's just one of the things that happens with rattan, and you just kind of have to live with it. But yeah, if you buy rattan mallets with nice thick shafts that are really resilient, it's highly unlikely that they will bend any more than like a little bit, and you should be able to bend them back pretty easily. The next question is from 000, who said, can you make a beginner's guide to mallet care and also talk about mallet hardnesses? I have 3 tips for mallet care, and obviously you can't keep your mallets forever. They're gonna wear out eventually, but you can slow down the wear so that you can use them for longer and save yourself some money. Tip number 1 is the most obvious tip, which is to invest in mallets that you know will last a long time. When you buy a pair of mallets for the first time, whether it's marimba mallets or vibraphone mallets or whatever, try and buy a pair of mallets that you know has a reputation for lasting for a long time. For example, if you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that the Van Sice is my favorite marimba mallet. I'm not sponsored by Vic Firth in any way, but one of the reasons why I like the Van Sices is because the yarn is extremely durable and it's built to last. Like for example, you can see I've got a little bit of mallet wear on here. This horizontal bit of white signifies the amount of wear on these mallets, and despite the fact that I've used these for 9 months, these mallets are still really strong, and I don't think these are going to fall apart anytime soon. They're not going to unravel, which I think is one of the most annoying thing about mallets, is when they go. Now conversely, here's a pair of Bolter 11Rs, and I know what you're thinking, Adam, doesn't the Bolter 11R have yellow yarn heads? What the hell is that? If you haven't already guessed, these mallets used to have yellow yarn heads, and they just slowly unraveled over time, and eventually the whole thing just flew off. Now they're just glorified rubber mallets. Even though these mallets are cheaper than these mallets last for a lot longer, whereas these mallets have basically become useless for keyboard. So bottom line is, if you're buying your first pair of mallets, don't try to skimp on money, because long term it will cost you more, as you can see from these. Buy a pair of mallets that has a reputation for lasting for a long time, like the Van Sices or many of the other mallets that I've reviewed on this channel. Go check them out if you haven't already. Like, it seems like an obvious tip, buy better quality mallets, but like when I was starting percussion, I always bought the cheapest mallet and I would just break them, or the yarn will go. I gotta stop making that sound. So invest in decent but well-priced equipment from the get-go. Tip number 2 also may seem like an obvious tip, but again, when I started percussion, I did not think about this. Buy a stick bag that isn't going to damage your mallets. So in my second year of undergraduate uni, I upgraded from my little tiny foldy bag to this, which was a birthday present from my friends. It's a Vic Firth stick bag. It's a foldy bag. You can see it's got a little Elmo tag on the top. I used this bag for a good 2 to 3 years, and it's a good bag. Like, it has nice zips, it's got this nice leather material, and when you open it, you know, it's got a lot of space for all of your mallets, and all of that is really good. What is this? I legit didn't even realize this was in here. This is a Musa Good Vibes M229 mallet. I don't even own this. I think it might have accidentally fallen into my bag. Okay, this is not mine. Anyway, this stick bag was pretty good. Like, it has a lot of compartments. It's really well built, but it is a foldy bag. And if you guys watch my episode of the Galaxy grip bag review, you'll know that I don't really like foldy bags. The reason why I don't like foldy bags is because when you put your mallets inside these types of bags, and you line them all up in these pockets, and it's all nice and neat, right? And then you zip it all up, you close it up, and you're transporting it like this. And the mallets rub against each other because, you know, they will be in direct contact with each other all the time. Another thing I really don't like about these bags is that obviously you have to zip up the entire thing and then unzip it all the time when you want to get your mallets. And then you just end up stuffing it through the top of the bag and then it all gets all messy, and that all makes your mallets wear out faster. Obviously the foldy bags are the cheapest kind of bag, which is why they're so popular, and they're pretty good for drumsticks because if you put drumsticks in a bag like that and they rub against each other, it's no big deal. If you put things like timpani mallets, which have really loose felt heads, you end up with situations like this. Look at this mallet, look at that. That's terrible. And then your expensive $100 Morbies or whatever expensive timpani mallets people use these days are gone. So that is why I favor bags like the Galaxy Grip bag, and the mallets don't ever rub against each other because they're all standing upright and it's very, very easy to put in and out. So you're less likely to just shove mallets in and be like, oh, I hope this all fits. It means you don't have to worry about friction between your mallets and therefore they will last longer. Now I know a lot of you guys are on budgets and some of you guys said, oh, I can't really afford to buy the Galaxy Grip bag. What else can I get? Well, Mike Bolter makes a cylindrical bag. I think it looks like this. It's basically got zips on both sides and it isn't as effective as the Galaxy Grip bag, but it's still better than a foldy bag because at least there's a cylindrical shape, so it's more likely your mallets will be, you know, held together in that shape as opposed to boom, compressed together like a sandwich. So yeah, get a better bag and your mallets will last longer. Tip number 3 is a trick that I see with a lot of people who want to protect their more expensive mallets like timpani mallets or like really expensive like wave wraps and things like that. It's also a really good tip for anyone who's traveling with mallets so that they don't get damaged in transit. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with these. These are the packets that your mallets come in normally, and they're these long plastic sealed packets. So if you want to transport your mallets in complete safety and not have to worry about them rubbing with each other, use these packets to store your mallets. If you take the piece of paper out, you end up with this big, nice long packet, and you can put all your mallets in here and they will be protected and they will stay together. The only downside to this is obviously you have to keep opening and closing the packet every time you want to use them. So if you're looking for something that will make accessing your mallets very convenient and very quick, this is probably not the way to go. But if you're wanting to travel or bring your mallets between long distances, have them in like cabin luggage or whatever, then yeah, this will be a much easier way to carry them than to just wrap them in blankets and stuff. That's really like old school. If you want to be really, really creative, you can cut these bags up into like rectangular strips and then fit them around the top of your mallet heads with rubber bands. I've seen a lot of people doing this with Glad wrap, but if you don't want to use like Glad wrap because the plastic is a bit too thin, you can use the plastic from these bags. I mean, I have like 100 of these. For most of us, just use one of these. The next question is Austin Skiba. Ooh, that penguin is cute. How can you afford all of your equipment? You have 2K subs and yet you have sound panels, backdrops, a high def camera, great editing, and to top it all off, a $15,000 marimba. Wow! Thanks for the question, Austin. I get asked this question a lot because if you've checked out my vlogs, if you checked out the studio channel, you see all this gear in my studio, and obviously I have a studio, and people are always so surprised because they see my YouTube sub count, they see my views. Full disclosure, I worked for everything you see in these videos, like these cameras, the equipment, the lighting, the backdrops, all of this stuff, the computers behind me, all of this stuff. I worked for it myself. If you guys don't already know, I teach part-time at the moment. I also have students here at the studio, so teaching makes up for a pretty good chunk of my income and allows me to live day to day and buy a few things here and there. I also do a lot of little video jobs here and there to supplement my income, and I save a lot of that money. I only spend it on things that I think are really important or are gonna help me with these videos. Otherwise, I save that money. And I think that's one of the best feelings is when you work yourself up to a financial level where you can afford these things on your own. I think that feels a lot more rewarding than someone buying it for you. So I really enjoy that. The second reason why it looks like I can afford all of this gear, and like some people think that all my gear is like super expensive. Okay, yes, I have a Marimba 1 marimba. I know that is an expensive marimba, but I really wanted to buy a marimba that would hold its value. So I did save up over time to buy that marimba myself. Again, my parents did not buy me that marimba. My friends did not buy me that marimba. I bought it myself. But other than the marimba, you'll be surprised to know that everything that I use in my office is either secondhand or really cheap. For example, almost everything that I'm shooting on, the GH4, the lens, the speed booster, my other GH4, my DSLR, all of that stuff is secondhand. When you buy camera gear especially, you can always buy it secondhand. It's a lot cheaper And it's the same with any of my other expensive gear. For example, this iMac behind me, which I use as a screen now, I bought this down the road, secondhand in cash. And even a lot of my studio gear, like the softboxes that I'm shooting on right now, which are lighting my face, these softboxes are from eBay. They cost me less than $100 for the whole set, including light bulbs, stands, everything. I mean, you guys know as well, on this show, I always like to have cheap DIY hacks for doing things. For example, my mallet rack idea, that was IKEA shoe racks. Like, I didn't go and build these expensive fancy racks. No, I just bought an IKEA shoe rack. I think it's a lot more fun to find cheap alternatives to doing things because cheaper isn't necessarily worse. Hi, I'm William says, Marimba giveaway? Ha, 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 where's the money? If a Marimba company sends me a Marimba, I would love to give it away to one of you guys, but otherwise, no money. Our studio VIP, Carl Spence, asks, can you do a video on your top 10 Marimba players? Ooh, that's a really tough top 10 video to make because obviously I don't want to be too preferential or anything. Okay, how about for this video, let's do my top 8 favorite Marimba players. So my rationale for the people that I'm putting on this list are people that I really like listening to, people that I really like watching live, people who I think have insanely good musicality as well as really good technique. Just people that I really look up to as marimba soloists. And of course, this may not be the same as your favorite marimba players, but let me know in the comments if you have any marimba players that you're really fond of. I would love to know what everyone's favorites are. In no particular order, the first person I'd like to nominate is of course Nancy Zeltsman. She's one of my favorite marimba players of all time. She's an amazing player. She has so much musicality. She has a really good touch on the instrument. I had the honor of playing with her and seeing her live at Chosen Vale last year, and it was just one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen. Number 2 on the list is Miroslav Dimov, and as you know from my previous top 10 video, I was obsessed with Miroslav Dimov because of that very theatrical way of playing. He's just like whoosh, 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 and he just goes all out in all of his performances. It's insanely awesome. So yeah, shout out to you, Miroslav. Number 3 is a marimba artist that is very close to me. Her name is Kuniko Kato, and she's from Japan. She has a very good relationship with Australian percussionists because she came to Perth a few times in the last few years. She has also played in Brisbane at the Australian Percussion Gathering at Queensland Conservatorium. And last year I had the pleasure of meeting her properly at the Australian Percussion Gathering, and she played the most beautiful rendition of Spiegel im Spiegel, the Arvo Pärt piece. It actually made people cry in the audience. There were people sitting next to me who were like full on tearing up. I had a few tears myself as well, I'm not ashamed to admit it. And the best part was she was also getting a little bit emotional, and it was the most simplest piece in terms of technique. It was just like some rolls and stuff, but the way she did it was just so musical, so beautiful. It is something I will never forget for the rest of my life. So if you've never seen Kuniko play, go check it out. It's in the description below. Number 4 on the list is Jisu Jung. She is a Vic Firth artist, and you will have probably seen her on a lot of Vic Firth videos playing some of the easier pieces and some of the harder pieces. And what I like about her is that she has this really musical way of playing that doesn't really feel like she's putting it on. Like, she's not manufacturing an emotional state. It is actually just coming through very naturally, and it's not too much. It's like a very measured approach, but still very accurate, very clean, and very beautiful playing. Number 5, he's one of the beasts of marimba. He plays on a bench. His name is Pius Cheung. You guys know that I played his Etude in E minor, but I've always been a fan of Pius's ridiculous playing in the sense that he sits on the bench and he gets so much speed and power out of such a little stroke. Like, it's just awesome. Pius teaches at Oregon. He's got some amazing YouTube videos up. He's got a very profound playing style, and I love that he takes a lot of time to transcribe classical music as well as popular music and puts them onto marimba and sort of makes it his own. That's really unique, and I really appreciate it. And of course, for number 6, I couldn't mention Pius and not mention his nemesis, Casey Cangelosi. Now, if you guys follow Pius or Casey on Facebook, you'll know that they have this little beef with each other. It's pretty funny to watch. Casey really holds his own all the time. He was one of the original percussion YouTubers, obviously. And just like Pius, he's a prolific composer, a really good educator. I really appreciate all the work that he's done for percussion. Thank you so much, Casey, for inspiring so many people. For number 7, he is someone who has a very impressive style of playing. His name is Theodor Milkov. If you guys haven't heard of Theodor, go check him out. He is just incredible with his control. He's known for playing very fluid. If you've watched him play his Scarlatti solo on marimba, his right hand and his left hand, they just sort of glide around the marimba, and it's just this insane technical ability that I've never seen on any other marimbas. It's a very different style, So you guys should definitely check it out if you haven't already. It's in the description below. And finally for number 8, well, I had to be a little bit biased and support one of my fellow Australian friends. I think you guys know who I'm gonna say. It's Rob Oetomo. So I only really got to know Rob last year. I met him at the Australian Percussion Gathering as well, and he played his Over the Rainbow arrangement, which I think a lot of you guys have been saying is one of your favorite pieces ever, which is great because I sent all of those comments to him and he absolutely loved it. But Rob is one of the most honest players I know. When I see him play, I feel like it's very genuine. I don't feel like he's putting on anything. I feel like the emotion really comes through his playing. I think it's so great that we have someone like him in Australia, and he's always writing a lot of music as well. So thank you so much, Rob, for your contribution if you're watching, and thank you for watching my videos. So yeah, that's my top 8 marimba players. Let me know if you have any favorite marimba players that I didn't mention in the comments below. I'm sure everyone will have different opinions. And that's the best part about percussion, is that you can like different things and you can still get along with each other. So that is the end of the 3,000 subscriber Q&A. Thank you so much for always giving me all these questions and for giving suggestions on what I should talk about on the show. And I hope my answers were helpful to you. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And of course, if you haven't already, please hit that red subscribe button below to keep up with my uploads. Thank you so much for 3,000 subscribers. I'm currently looking at my road to 10K whiteboard right now, and that 10,000 is getting closer and closer and closer. If we can hit 10K by November, I will be so happy. I will literally go to PASIC and high five every single one of you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week for another episode of The Studio. Good night.